Hope you all are doing well and fine. I'm Gaurav Rajput. I'll be the host for the today's session on the theme data science. Now, on behalf of the whole STAR team, I'd like to welcome Mr. Moid Hassan.
Hi guys. So thanks a lot for joining this session. Let me start like after giving my introduction so that you can understand better from where I'm coming from. Uh, so I am passed out of UIET IT branch basically. I kind of passed out in 2016. So at that time I was placed in a company called InfoGain. I think you must have heard about it a lot because it's a mass recruiter kind of company in UID, right? So at that time, when I was placed, so it was a pretty good opportunity, I think, for most of us, because we look forward like for a software engineering profile generally, and like people do not tell us a lot about machine learning stuff or data science stuff in the college, right? So like we have some courses like business intelligence and database management systems and all, but not explicitly people tell us like there is a option of going into this field called data when I was in my third year, I stumbled upon a course on Coursera. I think there was a book on Coursera, something called Data Science Toolbox. I started doing it because in college you have a lot of time, right? After watching a lot of movies and TV series, you have a lot of time at your hand, so you can do different things, right? People do a lot of coding, people do a lot of competitive programming also in the college times. So I did this course, and I kind of find it pretty fascinating because what it generally is, it's kind of is to deal with numbers, is to deal with data, to make sense of all the data around us, right? So I kind of what I did, I contacted some seniors in UIT, which already was working on this something called machine learning or data science. So like they told me that this is a pretty good field, but it was like a nascent stage back in 2016, right? People were not hiring, a lot of companies were not hiring at that time, so I had to apply for a lot of out of campus placements. I applied for a lot of internship opportunities of as a data scientist. I kind of got 2 or 3 opportunities working as data scientist in a Bangalore firm. And But like as fate would have it, I kind of got opportunity to apply for Amex. And there was a proper interview in Amex. Like they kind of evaluate you on your skills, on your knowledge, right? Since I didn't have any experience, I only have experience of doing these courses on Coursera. So based on that experience, they kind of evaluated me, and I kind of got in at that time. So from that point to this point, I have completed I will be completing my 5 years this September mostly. So I kind of worked as data scientist for 2 years. Then I kind of got promoted to senior data scientist, and then I worked for senior data scientist for 2 years. And currently, I am a manager of data science in American Express. So what manager do in American Express is they kind of handle like 2 3 data scientists under them, and they kind of mentor them. They kind of uh, groom them into like becoming the managers themselves, right? So this is about my journey till now, right? Yes, it's an interesting question. Thanks, Arshit. uh, so uh, One thing is that this data science field is not about whether you are in electronics, whether you are in IT or in computer science. It is not specific to any branch, I would say, because ultimately, like the name of this particular course is data science, right? Data and science. So you did engineering, right? You did science. You are in science field, right? So if you are in electronics or if you are in IT, I think you have this capability where you can make sense of any particular data set, right? For example, in electronics, there are a lot of machine learning algorithms which goes in, right? You have to uh, for example, in the circuits, you have to figure it out where the fault will be, right? So उसको लोग कैसे करके करते हैं, like they have this data sets where they know that they can train the model on, right? So it's not necessary you have to be in this particular field of IT or CSC. I wouldn't say like a particular switch to this field, right? You can start learning things right out there. So there are a lot of interesting courses on Coursera, Udacity, and LinkedIn Learning you can refer to. You can start there because what you need to learn data science is like the basic understanding of mathematics, like basic understanding of linear algebra. Like you obviously you all have must have learned about vectors and matrices. You must have all learned about the calculus in their 12th standards, right? I'm pretty sure that since you're in engineering, you must have passed maths out there. I'm assuming. So these are the things which you need, right? Basic understanding of statistics, basic understanding of probability. I'm sure that सब लोग ने पढ़ा होगा ये कहीं ना कहीं स्टैटिस्टिक प्रोबेबिलिटी अपनी लाइफ के अंदर, सो उनको कुछ अंडरस्टैंडिंग होगा. दिस इज अ प्री रिक्वेस्ट. और बात अगर कोडिंग की होती है, इफ यू टॉक अबाउट कोडिंग, राइट, यू डोंट नीड अ हार्डकोर कोडिंग काइंड ऑफ थिंग to excel in this field, right? You just have to be good enough to write a block of code which does your work, right? You don't have to be that computer programmer. You have to optimize everything to that particular millisecond. Doesn't work like that in data science, right? Because you have to deal with a huge amount of data, and 1 minute here and there doesn't make a difference, right? It's not about computer programming right here. So I would say, Harshit, for you, if you want to start in this field, pick up those courses. There are good machine learning courses. There's a guy called Andrew Ng, who's this kind of teach in Stanford University. He had a couple of courses on machine learning and deep learning. You can refer those. There are courses which are hands-on with Python. You can refer those to kind of train yourself and to learn those things, right? And then you can apply for internship and opportunities out there in companies. Both the SD role and both this data science roles is completely different. Like in the way that for SD roles, you should have a good amount of knowledge or good amount of grasp on the concept of data structures and algorithms, right? DSA में तुम्हारा पूरा अच्छे से grasp होना चाहिए, right? And for to excel in this particular DS role, data scientist role, you should have this grasp on these algorithms out there, or the way you manipulate your data, how intuitive you are about your data, right? Basically, how you are able to find the patterns, right? How you are able to find the correlation between two particular data points. That is the thing you need to be excellent. But as you mentioned, that there are some profiles, or there are some people out there in companies like Google, or like in companies which who are doing who are software developer, SD role में होते हैं वो लोग, but they also do this machine learning thing. But their knowledge or their kind of implementation is very limited, right? They do not do machine learning. What they do, someone from the machine learning background do this machine learning thing, and they give a code to those person or to those software developer, and they help that code to be productionalized in a system, right? Since so machine learning developer develop this model, and software developer kind of productionalize this code into the environment, onto the website, basically, right? So since I am a machine learning expert, right, I don't have the knowledge or the understanding how would I use this particular model on my website, right? I have to use my model on my website. So that is where software developer comes in, right? It helps if a software developer has a little amount of knowledge of machine learning, because you will be able to complete a project very quickly if you have knowledge about that. But it is, if it is not, you don't have a knowledge, it's still you can do it, right? So now you will see that people are mixing this role of software developer and machine learning. So this is something which is people are calling machine learning engineer. So there are different things called, something is called data analyst, there is a different thing called data scientist, there's something called data engineer, and there is a last thing called machine learning engineer. So machine learning engineer is a mix of data scientist and software engineer. Okay. So Piyush, like I don't think there is a very clear answer to this question particularly. So basically machine learning is of generally of two types. There's three types, but I will talk about two types only. There is something called supervised, and there is something called unsupervised learning, right? Supervised learning is something where you tell the machine that, okay, this is, for example, if we talk about frauds in MX, right? MX, what happens in MX, like if someone is doing fraud, they kind of detect that fraud, and they kind of stop that transactions from happening, right, in the real time. So we know that these transactions are fraud, and we know these transactions are not fraud, right? So we have this distinction of a fraud thing. So we know that if you want to train our model or train our this fraud model, we will have to create a model which will be able to distinct between these particular observations, right? So this is a supervised learning where your computer knows what is the difference or what is the label, basically. We call it just a label. And there are some things called unsupervised learning. The one example could be you have Twitter, right? You see a lot of tweets out there. So someone in a company gave you a million to it and say that okay, you have to cluster these to it, or kind of segment these to it into three categories, something like politics, entertainment, and sports, right? Now you don't have the information that which particular tweet is what, right? So you don't have the label or something for that to know already. अगर तुम्हें पता है तो like you can read that tweet and खुद से कर सकते हो, but 1 million tweet के लिए you can't do that, right? You have to train a machine to do that particular thing. So that is unsupervised learning for you. So there are different projects which are out there in supervised and unsupervised learning. So most companies generally focus on supervised learning. There are some companies which are focus on unsupervised learning, right? So I will say some different projects for supervised learnings are, for example, you want to predict. You must have heard about this very famous project, which is predicting house prices, right? Which is based on the data set which kind of tells you एक घर के अंदर कितने कमरे हैं, कितना स्क्वायर फीट है, बेसमेंट है या नहीं है, इस टाइप के फीचर्स होते हैं उसके पास, एंड यू प्रोजेक्ट द हाउस प्राइस, right? So this is the one project you can do. You must have heard about that very famous project about Titanic, that based on the data sets or the something, you can predict that who will die on Titanic or who won't die on Titanic, right? So this is a one more interesting project you can do. For unsupervised, which I mentioned, what you can do, you can scrape data from Twitter, like 10,000 or 100,000 tweets, and you can segment them into different categories, like 5 or 6 categories, and you can use different algorithms in that. So those are the different examples of projects you can work on. So I'm sure whenever you start on working on these projects, it will improve your skills because you start learning different things. You'll start experimenting on different things, and you can implement those like on those projects. I think 3 or 4 packages which people use a lot, and if you Google about this, that what are the famous packages that Python people use. So these are something called pandas, which is responsible for doing data manipulation, data transformation in Python. Another is NumPy, which is kind of to do numerical computation in Python. Basically linear algebra, those vectors and matrices part of thing. Another is scikit-learn library, which is a library which has these machine learning algorithms implemented, where you can call those algorithms like random forest or decision tree, and your model will run on those particular algorithms. This is scikit-learn. And the last is, but not the least, obviously, something called Seaborn or Matplotlib. So these are the visualization libraries. So people use these libraries to plot graphs, to plot histograms, plot different kind of visualization they want to kind of see with the data, right? So I would say these are the 4 or 5 libraries you should focus on and try to master yourself.
So thank you all for participating in this event. With this, we have come to the end of this event. Thank you, sir. We were very grateful for you.
Thanks, sir. Thank you, guys.
When you land back in Chandigarh, we'll be very pleased to have you back on the campus. काफी बदल गई यूनिवर्सिटी, काफी अच्छी चीजें आई हैं.
Yeah, I would love to see the university.
Yeah. So, sir, whenever you land back in Chandigarh, please do come visit our university.
Yeah.
Thank you, sir.
I would be like happy to interact with you in live scenario to kind of see all your faces, to kind of see interacting with you guys. So that would be the very good thing to do. But obviously, like we will see, when we can do that.